Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I am here with my good friend Shantanu with Prodigal, who is one of my rare recurring guests. We had such an interesting conversation about AI last time, and as I've been talking with him post Reg F, I learned a lot about the different ways in which they're approaching Reg F, not only as a restriction, but also identifying and leveraging the opportunities that are born from Reg F. Shantanu, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me, Adam. Great to be back.
Absolutely. We always appreciate a conversation with you, and I always learn a lot. So today I want to talk about a couple of different things, but for those that did not see the first episode, can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Absolutely. So I'm a data scientist by trade and have been doing machine learning for the greater part of last 10 years. One of the things I did was at a lender called Fundbox, and I realized there is a lot of opportunity in using data in a very customer-friendly, compliant, and manner that actually helps the originating creditors, lenders, agency improve their productivity and business generally. With that seed of thought, with that genesis, stepped out, started what we are doing right here about 4 years back, and have been on a tear since.
Well, Prodigal, I think, has been making quite a name for itself over the past couple of years. Can you tell everybody a little bit about Prodigal and kind of what you guys do there?
Absolutely. So at a very, very high level, we turn every interaction into an insight. These might be interactions, obviously on the phone, but also chat, email, website. How are people reacting to the message a lender, originating creditor, an agency is giving? And what does that tell you? What does that tell us about what to do next? At the simplest level, that helps making sure that we are delivering a compliant service to our consumers, but also really make sure that we are doing it very cost effectively and finding the right personalization, finding the right channel of delivery to the right person at the right time, delivered by the right agent really, and doing it all in a very, very cost effective manner. So that is the crux of everything we do. Under that umbrella, obviously, we have Pro Voice, which really eliminates all QA efforts. There is Notes that makes every agent so much more productive. Assist is an in-call assistant that kind of helps agents along, make sure that their average handle time is reduced, make sure they're making fewer mistakes really on the call, giving the best offer at the right time. And then we do a lot of work with the back office so that that agencies and lenders and debt buyers are focused on the right accounts and not really wasting time with the accounts that are not going to liquidate.
Well, your Pro Notes tool set I thought was really interesting. And so I've been kind of reading up on it a little bit, and obviously, went through a demo with your team. I thought it was really interesting the way that you guys are taking the conversational discussions that are happening over the phone and then creating these kind of short snippets that are dropped directly into the system of record. Because when I looked at the timing of how long it takes an agent to actually, create those notes and all that, like the productivity increase of having those things happen in an automated format was like greater than 20%, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly.
Absolutely. I think that is, and that is the genesis, that is like the essence of what machine learning can do for us, right? Take something that today is an extremely manual, low sophistication, repetitive task, and boom, automate it to the hilt, and you get like 25% plus lift. We partner with Sequim, we partner with a bunch of other members that of RMA and the industry, and they've seen like a 20 to 25% increase in the productivity, because what was formerly taking their team greater almost 2 hours per agent per day now comes down to under 15-20 minutes cumulative across the day.
Wow.
So the gain,
that's incredible.
Yeah, I think we are very, very thrilled by the performance and the reception, and also the best agents love it. So not all agents love it, but the best agents love it. So your best performers, they suddenly realize that their productivity is higher, their commission potential is higher. They're spending their energy, they're spending their time at what they do best, which is talking to the borrowers and liquidating accounts rather than typing up notes, rather than filling out forms.
Well, it's not just the automation of it, it's also the application of structure. right?
Yes.
Like when you're taking notes, you can train people to use certain terminology or abbreviations or whatever. But when that can happen in an automated fashion, that's got to be a big part of it. But that kind of brings me to the conversation that I wanted to have with you today. And
Mhm.
we've seen 1,000 webinars and discussions about Reg F and the restrictions that Reg F puts on the industry. But
Yeah.
in talking with you, you said something that really kind of made me perk up when I saw you at the ACA Fall Forum. You said, well, maybe if we look at this differently, Reg F is an opportunity, right?
It is.
And
Yeah.
so, I think that at least from the way I understand what you guys have been doing over there, you're doing a little bit of both, right? Like you have some tools and products and services that are assisting in complying with the new rule sets that are in existence there, but you're also working on these things that create kind of new opportunities. So let's look at it. Let's try and look at both of these different angles here of what Reg F can be. So
Yeah.
as we talk about kind of the restrictions and how we're going to manage those restrictions or improve our performance or efficiencies so that we can continue to perform at the levels that we need to remain profitable.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you guys are doing to help people comply with the rules that are falling under the Reg F platforms.
Absolutely. So one of the people, obviously, like anytime a new rule comes up, you kind of go into make sure that you're not running afoul of it, and
Mhm.
that has been a lot of 2021, honestly, making sure
Sure.
that your bases are covered, your T's are crossed, and your I's are dotted. And one of the things we help people do is make sure that every DNC is captured accurately. It's You also don't want a blanket ban, but if someone says, "Do not call me at work before 3 p.m." you're able to capture that accurately and annotate and make sure you don't call them before 3 p.m. on their work phone. Similarly,
Mhm.
someone actually says, don't call me ever, you want to be never calling them because that is like a DNC. Previously, there was a lot of reliance on obviously manual work, but we are coming in doing a lot of automation in order to make sure that there is 100% coverage, 100% accuracy on things like that Reg F really insists on. So that is one place where we are driving a lot of efficiency by taking manual work out of the process and bringing in more accuracy. Similarly with scorecards. Scorecards previously relied a lot on listening to the call end to end.
Mhm.
Now, how do you do QA for calls is very different from how you do QA for chats and emails. And we kind of create a very, very unified platform to do it all together. And that kind of really lets you that really lets you embrace Reg F across its omnichannel experience while actually being far more efficient about it.
I like that, right? Like, and I think the new channels are going to become part of the opportunity as well. So being able to manage that QA and not necessarily the restrictions, but the management of that process. And it sounds like what you guys have done have also been kind of like a proactive management, right? Because as
Yes.
you can't stop somebody from saying something over the phone, but you can
And
potentially help to manage these written communications before they go out. Can you tell us a little bit about, kind of what that looks like on your side of the
yeah,
world?
absolutely. So, especially on web chat, text messaging, and email, we think of ourselves as guardrails. We are not prescriptive necessarily in telling
Mhm.
agents what they do. We don't curb their flair. But if someone is saying something that is obviously incorrect, mostly because they're new to the job, we make sure that that doesn't happen. One common example is kind of credit bureau, right? If someone asks, uh, "Will you report me to the credit bureau?" or "How is this going to look on my credit report?" There is a very clear right answer, and we want to make sure that agents, no matter if they're new or old, no matter if they've been with you for 2 months or 20 years, are saying the right thing. And we prevent bad messages from going out. We
Mhm.
prevent incorrect or non-compliant things from being said uh, by putting these guardrails in place on the chat platform or all the text platform. And that really, again, gives you a lot of comfort, trust that your texting, emailing program is going to be very, very compliant.
Mhm.
And at the same time, people are able to have that conversation, generate that kind of returns that you're looking from your texting, chat, email program.
So as we talk about, texting, chat, email, those kinds, as we start moving into these new types of communication channels, do you have one collector doing one chat, or like, what does that process look like? Like, are you actually creating efficiency out of these other channels? Like, help me understand that side of it.
Absolutely. I think this is a very new world for the industry, and what the existing tools, the existing metrics to measure productivity actually don't translate over at all. Obviously, only an agent can speak to one person at a time. But if you apply that same paradigm in a chat text message world, you are going to actually incur a lot of more expensive operations. The reason is simpler: you chat slower than you speak. Right? If I'm chatting with you, I'm going to do it much slower than if I was speaking with you. And as a result, if you have your agent only chatting with one person at a time, you're going to get the average handle time is going to increase materially. And as a result, your costs are going to increase. However, technology essentially brings in concurrency. So what we help is make sure that an agent is able to very reliably support 4 to 5 conversations at the same time. And as a result of that, you get back a lot of those gains. And now suddenly, like a 10-minute average handle time, but if an agent has a concurrency of 5, where he's speaking with 5 different borrowers, doesn't feel as bad. And again, that goes back to the earlier question, where a lot of the mistakes of the reason you need guardrails is if an agent is speaking with 5 different people at the same time, it's just human nature that they might say something in the wrong window that's irrelevant, and worse, might
we have all sent a text to every single person watching has sent a text to the wrong person. I know that I have been guilty of it on more than one occasion.
Exactly. And that's but natural. And if you expect high performing team, you also expect them to make mistakes humans make. But those guardrails kind of come in handy. So you don't have inadvertent disclosure to the wrong party. But more importantly, the concurrency really helps you bring productivity. And there is really no analog in the voice world, right? So this is really a completely new paradigm. So that's on the how do you measure productivity? How do you actually boost productivity over anything you could have had on the voice side?
So as we talk about the increase in productivity, I think that brings us to kind of the second piece of the conversation, which is what are the opportunities that are being created from Reg F? So we've talked about some of the guardrails. We've talked about how it does, there are some opportunities to improve, right? To be chatting with 5 people instead of one-on-one conversations and being able to expand that scope. But what other opportunities do you see on the backside of Reg F, right? Like it's opening new windows to a new world. So
absolutely.
What are you seeing from your side is in the application of machine learning and AI, how does that translate into this side of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of the new world is it is very data rich, and that data is input to the machine learning to drive a lot of personalization that is actually consumer first. If you reach out to a customer across 4 channels and you realize that the engagement for a particular person on one channel far outweighs anything else on the other 3, why even bother with the other 3? But you can't actually, machine learning helps you identify that and say, these are your customers who will never respond to a text message, but will actually be on your website at least once a month to kind of see to make some changes and stuff. Those kind of things mean that you can deliver a value to your customers at the choice of convenience, at the venue of convenience, and again tap onto signals in an omni-channel way.
Would it be safe to say that, like, when you're doing that one-on-one, right? Like if I'm looking at one consumer and I can see what they're doing, like that's easy. But what am I supposed to do when I got 100,000 consumer accounts in my shop, right? Like the application of AI is basically enabling that
personalization at scale.
That's exactly the language I was looking for.
we think about it a lot, and it is exactly that. I mean, and then the other thing is you also want signals at scale. So, I mean, one aspect of personalization is deciding what not to do, right? And in many cases, you might, again, if you have 100,000 accounts, there might be 10,000 accounts where you strongly believe there's nothing to be done there, and it's in everyone's best interest to do nothing. That is in the borrower's best interest, because they're truly not in a position to actually close that account. So just creating activities in no one's interest. On the other hand, just backing off is in everyone's interest, and that is the kind of thing we are able to again deliver. And you can show very demonstrably saying, I don't think we should go after this account. So your debt buyers, your original creditors aren't really questioning you for like penetration and how much your activity you're generating, because you have very, very backable, very, very trustable signals that say, really, we don't want to be doing this. And then everyone is on the same page, which lets you focus on the other accounts more, which lets you drive a lot of personalization, lets you think about payment plans, lets you think about breathers and hardship programs for the people who are going to work with you. And that is personalization, and being able to do it at like 100,000 accounts every month.
It's a data-driven personalization.
It is data-driven
personalization. Like you're taking all of this data, information, signals, right, and kind of applying that to how do I either do or not do a particular activity, which, you know, does create some new opportunity, because as you're kind of being forced to manage the processes that come with Reg F, right? The limitations on communications and all that, you need to make your communications more efficient. Now we can either look at that and say, this is a restriction, or we can look at that and we can say, this is an opportunity for us to improve those other channels and to actually communicate with the consumers through the preferred channels that they've selected.
Yes, exactly. That preference is so important. It is not a zero-sum game, honestly, and that's the beauty of it. Someone might you might get engagement on a preferred channel that so outweighs anything that you could have gotten on any other channel. But knowing that is the key, and delivering that personalization at scale using data is what we are focused on at this point.
And the confidence behind those decisions, right? Like being able to be confident in your understanding of, I've seen these signals before, I've seen this pattern before. It's pattern evolution, like it's a pattern evaluation. You're establishing these patterns and then comparing different situations to those pattern sets in order to drive some decision making.
And absolutely. And we end up working a lot with some of the largest banks in the country. And I've actually had the pleasure of sitting down with executive at a top 3 bank just last week. And one of the things is they realize it, but in the absence of this visibility, in the absence of this transparency, you have like a blunt hammer trying to hit everything. On the other hand, if agencies are able to actually make everyone see the same data, then decision making becomes transparent. Whatever you're doing is far more defendable, because even the original creditor sees it, and then everyone is working in tandem. So previously the industry worked on like uploads, like monthly uploads to like SFTP. That was extremely discrete versus continuous sense. It was a check the box that was delayed, very sporadic, didn't really invite a conversation, didn't really invite the agency, the debt buyer, if there's a bank involved, a bank, to collaborate on how do we work these accounts better. Where we are going with that, and with a lot of machine learning comes a lot of speed, is actually making a lot of the decisions real time. So you're giving them transparency, you're giving them speed, and then it no longer becomes a check the checker kind of conversation. It actually, you're inviting them in to brainstorm together. And agencies that are doing that, we're seeing them get more business. It only makes sense, right? Or like if a top executive at a top bank knows that they see a lot more transparency with a particular agency, they have a lot more visibility into their operations, and they are collaborators in the strategy, even if it is even just the ability to do that means that they are doing more and more allocation to those agencies, and those agencies are getting a greater share of wallet.
Well, Shantanu, I can say that I really enjoy your point of view, right? Like you always seem to look at challenges as opportunity, and I really do respect that and try to take a little bit of that home with me every time that we have a chat. For those of you that are watching, Prodigal will be at the RMAI annual conference in just a couple of weeks. You can either set an appointment with Shantanu or someone on his team to have a deeper discussion about their application of AI and analytics to our industry and the opportunities that you can find coming from Reg F. For those of you that are watching, if you have any additional topics that you'd like to see us cover or guests you'd like to see me interview, please leave those comments below as well. Shantanu, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks here. Like I know that we're going to find some time to sit down and have a drink together. It's going to be a great show.
I'm looking forward to it too. And we're back into the whole February calendar. So it's going to be the week after Super Bowl and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week. Very much looking forward to seeing you guys out there, checking out what you've done with the booth and getting a chance to spend time with you, Smeet, and the rest of the team.
Yep.
For now, though, I will get to see you soon. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks for having me.